we're here at Gamescom 2017. I'm Lucy.
I'm Dave.
I'm PewDiePie.
Shut up, Tam, and I'm Oscar.
And we've had a pretty busy day of it. So, started off this morning, Tam and I played The Evil Within.
Yeah, which was...
First hands-on.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. The thing about it is, Shinji Mikami being very quiet about the fact that he's not that involved. He's actually here at Gamescom, which was a surprise.
Yeah.
Not directing the game, though. Shinji Mikami just looking through a window at The Evil Within 2 just to make sure things are looking okay.
Just rocking up.
Yeah,
just keep an eye on everyone.
But it felt good. Like it feels. The thing that's tricky about it is it feels like a mixture between Resident Evil 4 and a little bit of Silent Hill and doing the mind game stuff and doing visual imagery really well.
Yeah.
But the thing that I walked away thinking was it doesn't have like a unified kind of aesthetic or an idea that's kind of driving it forward. It has the mental stuff where it's like, what's real, what's really, mind games and that kind of stuff. But after Resident Evil 7, I need my horror games to be a little more tighter and a little more contained.
I was going to say, because it feels way more like it's going action horror.
Yeah. It seems quite ironic that Resident Evil is now the series that I think of when I think authentic horror, survival horror in 2017. There was a time when it absolutely wasn't, and there was a time when Mikami and maybe The Evil Within 1 was more closer to that. But this one feels a little more like action focused, and you mentioned it feels a bit like Batman, which was quite funny.
Really?
No, it doesn't feel like Batman, but it certainly borrows a lot of things from Batman. So there was one sequence we were playing where you're in, there's kind of like this hub world, like this creepy village, and you're searching for your daughter, and so you're using a radio to basically pinpoint her voice by location. But there's also a bit where you kind of, because it's set in like a Ready Player One Oasis alternate dimension made from someone's mind, it's the whole thing. It means that you can have these weird effects, and so there's one thing where you find your daughter, at least you find sort of like the shadow of where she was, and you sort of do a Batman recreate the crime scene and follow footprints and stuff, and it just felt very, very strange.
To be clear, we're not saying it is like Batman. Before you start screaming in the comments, what we're saying is like it has a similar vibe, like that dark focus moving you along, trying to use like the frequency or the voice detector to kind of guide you, and then very tight corridors going back and forth. So it has like a vibe to it, a kind of like survival horror vibe, kind of like how it felt in the Asylum in the first Batman game.
I really liked it. I mean, it looks really good. Sebastian has, I don't know what he's had done, but he is looking really like a daddy. Chisel. But one thing that annoyed me in the first game and annoyed me in the build that we played today is every time there is like a really good action set piece bit, cutscene, you don't get to play that. And there was one like really annoying bit where you picked up a gun and you had one bullet, and then it cut you to a cutscene when this enemy came after you, and you went boom, 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 and it's like, actually, I think you'll find the number of bullets didn't hold up.
See, that's what you said there is kind of like my main difference. The thing that I'm trying to kind of talk about in terms of Resident Evil 7 versus this. Resident Evil 7 is scary just being there, the atmosphere of it. Whereas this is like trying to scare you again, like, oh, here's a creepy girl walking by, and it wrestles control away from you to do that. Instead of just being like, you can hear one of the, the family members in Resident Evil 7's mansion just walking around, and that's what scares you, and the tension's in that. So like, I'm still excited about The Evil Within 2, but as a survival horror game or even a horror game, it left me wanting, but I'm still excited for it.
You guys played something completely different though.
Yeah, we didn't play anything nearly as scary. We got to play in Star Wars.
Star Wars is pretty scary, man. Darth Vader. Have you heard of a guy called Darth Vader?
Have you heard his breathing? Guys,
there was no Darth Vader breathing. There was no Darth Vader.
Have you seen Jar Jar? Terrifying.
There was definitely no Jar Jar, otherwise I would have shot him. Basically all we played was the space battle stuff.
Space battle.
And mostly we were the Empire because they're the best side.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But it's way better than the first Battlefront. It's so much more objective focused. Even when you're kind of stuck in space, the objectives is very much. It felt like again it was borrowing from Battlefield 1's rush mode. It started off you had to defend the Empire's like shield generators, and cruisers and waves of bombers were coming at you. And then when they destroyed those, they were like trying to destroy docking clamps and get to shield generators. And if they destroyed those, there were sequences where they were flying into Star Destroyers and the internals and shooting reactors. Super intense. It's weird because even when a Star Wars game is bad, it makes you feel like you're in Star Wars, which inherently makes it amazing.
But this isn't bad, right? Like
Absolutely
this,
not.
This felt really, really good. Like the controls felt fine. Sometimes flying ships in some games is like an absolute nightmare. This felt really, really good.
One thing I noticed quite quickly was it's way more generous with, like the first Battlefront when you were in space, it really punished you when you just glanced something.
Yeah.
And that really, it would always take you out of the moment. If you were having this like amazing space battle when you were going through Death Star trenches, you clipped a pixel of texture, dead, absolutely destroyed, and you're like, please, why?
Why you do this?
I'm trying.
I just got in this.
We saw a little bit of the card system they had, so you could.
Yeah.
We had the TIE Fighter, the TIE Interceptor, and the TIE Bomber. Fighter, obviously, lots of lasers going out. Interceptors, more powerful lasers that overheats quickly, and bombers obviously got lots of torpedoes. The card system allowed us to like, oh, I want a bit more health. I want a little bit more damage. I want my cooling to happen faster. So, whilst if you're on the Empire, basically you're flying the same ship. They all look pretty similar. You can kind of
tailor it a
vary
little
your play
bit,
style
right.
a little bit. But the best thing that they did, in my opinion, was how they've done the heroes now.
Yeah.
So originally in Battlefront 1, you had to pick up these just
The hero tokens,
spinning
right?
orbs,
Yeah.
and then go into a crouch position to be like, beep, 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 beep. Hello, I'd like to be Darth Vader for a little bit until an AT-AT stomps on me or something. Now you earn points in battle. So I was shooting down X-wings and playing the objective, and that was giving me more points. So it then cost me 1,000 points when I respawned to be either Slave 1 or I think it was called the Scythe or something. It was a character that I didn't recognise, but it's like a Sith general.
For the Rebels, it was like Millennium Falcon, right?
Yeah, Millennium Falcon. We didn't get to play much with the Rebels, unfortunately, but they had their own cast of heroes. What was really nice is that if you're playing really well as the hero, so I was playing as Slave 1, shooting down Millennium Falcons and Y-Wings and A-Wings, it was like, hey, like, you're a great Slave 1. So it kept giving you more points, and then when you respawned, you could be Slave 1 again.
I didn't get this because I'm
you
not
weren't
very
that
good
good.
at
I
it.
was going to get to play this series, but I played as both heroes, got some really good games out of it, so we're going to be putting the gameplay up of that ASAP, so that should be up anytime soon. But I mean, I've not played any boots on the ground from
No.
Battlefront 2 yet,
Yeah.
but as far as the space combat goes,
Space boots on.
Pretty
pretty
cool.
fun.
Speaking of boots on the ground,
Football boots on the
Oh,
ground.
nice.
yeah.
I wonder where that was
Yeah.
going. I'm very stupid. Yeah, I played FIFA 18. You'll be surprised to hear it's very similar to FIFA 17.
What's different about it, other than one
I mean,
number?
to get a bit right, settle down, everyone. The
Yeah,
crossing
that's
is better and the shooting is better, and but yeah, it's feels very similar. It feels very slow, like really, really slow. Which
In a
I
good
don't
way?
know.
slow as in compared to previous FIFAs or compared to PES?
Both. Like, so
interesting.
I was always like a FIFA fan first for like years and years and years until about 2 years ago where I thought PES had overtaken FIFA, and that's still the case now I think with the most recent iterations. They've both slowed down this year, but FIFA more so, and it was slower to begin with as well with FIFA 17, and it just feels really sluggish and not very. It just doesn't feel responsive. Like I find it quite frustrating to play, especially when defending. It feels better than it did a couple of months ago. I played it at a preview event a couple of months ago. It feels better since then, so that gives me hope that maybe they will try and improve it more in time for the final release. But yeah, I was not hugely impressed with it. I did win though. I played Bristol City against Arsenal and I did win 2-0.
Who were you playing against?
Arsenal.
But who was playing?
Oh,
Was it a
right.
computer?
Yeah, the AI.
Set to easy.
set to easy
No,
mode.
set to world class. I think you'll
And
find.
Bristol City beat.
It's very realistic.
Well, I played Shadow of War, which was awesome.
Was a Balrog in it?
I faced off against the Balrog, and I had some kind of like.
Did you pass?
No, he actually like ran away at the end, which is quite annoying. We're gonna have the full gameplay up, and you can see the point where I'll leave it in. The point where I tried to sneak up a step, and the game was having none of it.
Yeah.
But it
That
was.
fight was impressive.
That fight is so cool. It's sort of like made the like the boss fights in Shadow of Mordor, for example, were just sort of like you up against an orc, and it was like you're flooded by bloody other orcs coming in. This was just like me, a Balrog, and an elemental spirit in the form of like a cave troll that looked like a tree.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was very quick time event heavy, but it like the set pieces were incredible. You got to use like all of your like elven powers as well as just sort of like running around. It looked super awesome. They've done, since I last played it, they've clearly done an art pass, and they've really tightened up things like bugs and just how it looks, and it just so exciting.
Tighten up the graphics in level 3.
Grow up, the pair of you.
But yeah, I love the cinematic, the way it looked, and you had control over the fight as the tree spirit thing at one point. Where you're doing,
I was
punches
like
and stuff.
punching this Balrog in the face.
It looked like every punch looked like it carried weight. The screen was like vibrating a bit.
I played it on the Xbox One X, so looked good, ran really well. Super excited to show you the gameplay that we got, so I'll be putting that up today as well. But that's all from us from Gamescom Day 2. Join us again tomorrow for Day 3. We've got some good stuff tomorrow, like Dishonored 2, DLC.
Metal Gear Survive.
Pez. Oscar's excited for Pez. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye. Also, we met Charles Martinet.
Woohoo!
Yahoo!